We are going to talk about emissions and PvE mode, fighting the boss, and minting ASG. And we're also going to talk about some other modes that we want to introduce into the future. We're also going to talk about unveiling our marketplace and our player dashboards and a little bit more about the player experience, leveling the player, stuff like that. I had a nice page of notes sitting right here on my keyboard for me that I made last night, and I can't find them. So I'm just going to wing this here off my head. But the thing that we should start talking about first will be obviously the boss fights and minting ASG and emissions. So obviously, our last AMA, we talked about launching first with a PvP mode so that we can, try to focus on getting some sort of underlying revenue. We know that that's important because we need the revenue and the reinvestment into the LP to be there, so that way we don't just obliterate the LP and the game's value sinks almost instantly because of that. So that's the goal. That has been the goal, and that's why the guys have been working so hard, so diligently on getting this mode ready and prepared. Um, but after last week's AMA, the community has been talking. Everybody's been talking. A lot of great ideas flowing. You know, trying to take away the barrier for some of the scholars to be able to play. People who don't own an NFT who have to come rent. Trying to take up any cost barriers to them and get them to go away because not everybody's for PvP, and we understand that that's a small market of our overall player base are going to be interested in that mode. We do still feel it's important to seek that underlying revenue, that early start of revenue. It's still critical, but we do understand and recognize the importance of removing any barriers to play, um, so that we can have the biggest player base possible. So we we took in a lot of those ideas, and we'll still keep taking in ideas. I think that one thing we've shown is that we're not opposed to listening and implementing good ideas. So some of the ideas that had been floating around were okay, but they didn't quite get the job done as far as removing barriers to the scholars to be able to play. For example, there was an idea about um, using energy to queue into the game, but still having them cover the small server cost like PvP um, mode does. It's a few cents. It's not much, but it's something, and it adds up. And that was like, well, that's still a barrier, though. It's not much, but it's still a barrier. You know, um, Putting up ASG, uh, like putting upfront ASG into a PvP lobby is a barrier, but that server charge still is a barrier, even though it's far less than uh, the full PvP mode. It's still a barrier, but it was still a solid idea. And we would queue up multiples into a match and pay off their tier based on like first place would get 100% of their tier, and second place would get a fraction of their tier, and third place would get a smaller fraction of their tier. And that's a solid idea. We still might go with some sort of mode in that route. There were some other ideas about like the zombie and survival modes, taking energy to play as well, and then tiering up a reward structure that they would get points based on their waves completed, and then those points would correlate into a tier breakdown based on what tier accumulated those points. There's a lot of good ideas, but most of the great ideas I think centered around queuing multiples into a match. And so the way we're going to do the boss fights to get rid of any cost barrier to the scholars, but to still be able to come out and mint ASG, just to queue in with a one energy per game, no server fees, and there's no ASG to put up or anything like that. But they will still queue into a map with more than one player. So the winning player of that map would then have a chance to go fight the boss and kill it. And then, so if you're an Odin, you would mint your ASG at that tier. If you're a Heimdall, you would mint your ASG at that tier. What this does is it reduces the overall game's emissions, but it doesn't actually affect any individual player's ability to go emit and play. So good players will still play good, and they'll still go out and win. Bad players will still probably not go out and win and will require more practice to play. So nothing really changes in that regard, but it does take in multiple energy per lobby that we spin up. which means that if we take in 10 players in that lobby, we took in 10 energy. And it's 10 energy that cannot go out and emit. Only one of those energy can go out and emit. And so it really is a great plan. We're putting the math to it to figure out, are we queuing in, 2 or 3 or 4 into a map, or 5 or 6 or 7, or maybe it's going to depend a little bit on uh, player base and how hard it is to match make. So we may want to queue in 10 to a match, but because it's hard to do matchmaking with a low player base, we might only start off with queuing 4 players into a match. We're not exactly sure, but the idea is solid, that we think that we can reduce the overall game's emissions without actually affecting any individual player's ability to go out and get wins and emit. It opens up some other things for us too. By doing this and getting to a threshold level that we're comfortable with, it also means we can introduce some other fun ways to introduce ASG around into the ecosystem. One thing we wanted to do, we've been wanting to do since day one, and now we can, is we can start introducing loot boxes into the game, where the loot boxes may just have something that helps you for that match, but very rarely could have something that helps your account. Could have something that maybe has a skin inside of it, or some mount, or maybe has a small bundle of ASG inside of it. So loot boxes will be randomized across lobbies and then individually randomized for what they carry. And that's going to be a lot of fun. That means that players who even go in and generally don't do well, can't quite beat the boss, or can't quite beat them very often, can still go in and find that fun factor of, maybe they found a loot box. Maybe they found 3, 4 loot boxes throughout the whole week, and it was really fun for them. Um, there's another mode that we had talked about that we want to introduce, similar to like an exfil Tarkov type of style game. Excuse me, where you'll choose your loadouts that you bring into the lobby, and for the loadouts that you want to choose, you'll have to carry X amount of ASG with you. And then if you die, your bag is subject to being looted. So there's some interesting modes that can come out of this by reducing the overall project's emissions by queuing in multiples up against the boss fight. That, by doing that savings and emissions, we can actually turn around and add a whole lot more fun to the game. It also means that those who do finally get to, you win your map and you do finally go get to fight the boss, it means we don't have to target such an extremely difficult boss fight. It means we can target something that's more along the lines of fun, because obviously we just took in a handful of energy to spin the lobby up, and only one of the players is going to go get a crack at the boss, the player who emerges from that lobby. So it does make a lot of good sense, and it opens us up to a lot of interesting. I saw that picture. It opens us up to a lot of interesting ways to add more fun ways to gain ASG that do not require you to go beat the boss. Waves of zombies in survival, exfil mode like Tarkov, um, and we even talked about doing some free-to-play tournaments. I think we want to target those for bi-weekly. Free-to-play tournaments would be something similar to like a free-to-play poker tournament, where they're large lobbies, low chance you're going to win. Maybe there's 100 or 200 people in a tournament or something like that. But at the end of it, if you are successful at emerging from the tournament, you win money. So same thing here, you would win ASG. And those poker tournaments were always fun for me, even though I knew that they were a long shot. And I think that people would have fun playing them if they were bi-weekly or monthly. And they just gave you another chance to go out and be a part of the ecosystem, earn a little ASG. Maybe you want to sell it for the coin, or maybe you want to go get that skin you've been waiting for, or get that mount you've been waiting for, stuff like that. So that's the first thing we wanted to talk about. Obviously, the program is going to be to drop multiples into a map, so that the emerging player gets to go, have their chance in the arena to fight a boss to mint off the contract. That's basically that topic. I'm sure you guys are going to start to come up with some questions about it, and that's fine. And come up with some questions about those modes as well. Trying to find my stupid sheet of notes. You're welcome to pop some questions in on the comments for now while I look for my cheat sheet somewhere around here. How soon can we do it? Oh, great question. Yeah, let's talk about. So this past week, yeah, players will be renting it. Yeah, you always have to rent an NFT. The free to play tournament that's we're going to do like once a month or maybe once every biweekly. That's actually going to be to increase our player base. There will be no renting, no owning necessary. That'll be free to play for anybody and everybody. I'd love to get thousands of people involved in that stuff. It'd be like one lobby, one time. It's the goal is to increase the player base. But generally, what I'm talking about with fighting PvE boss or any of these other modes, they all require renting. Yeah, yeah, yeah. As far as Team Dog's question of how soon can we do it? So this past week, DB didn't work on the game. He only worked on contracts and databases. It went really well. These last 4 days, especially, all went really, really well. I think he'll probably spend the next full week still on contract work and database work. So today's Sunday. So with a little luck, I'd say in one more week we could be live with some PvP gameplay first. Um, assuming that it goes kind of smooth and that there's not like a bunch of bugs to fix and things like that to dive into. And then after that, as far as putting out the next mode for queuing up into multiples into we call it multiplayer PvE. Multiplayer PvE is what we have been calling it internally. But to queue that mode up, um, I mean, DB would have to speak on it more, but as far as I'm aware and familiar, not a ton more work. The large chunk of work to be done was networking multiple players up because from a single player perspective, you only need to network up what you see, what that one camera sees. But in a multiplayer perspective, you obviously need to be able to network up what every third party sees from every perspective. So it's a lot more challenging, and all that work is done now. So when we go live with our first mode, we're still going to go live with PvP off the rip because it is the closest thing to being ready. And so if it's ready, why not hit the go live button? So we're still going to, go live with that mode as soon as it is ready. And then maybe I would say one more week with programming up, the multiplayer PvE, and then few days to test it, make sure it's okay. So let's say within maybe 2 more weeks after that, we could be playing it and going really hard with lobbies and renting and all of those things. They did spend a little bit of time this week going over the rental contracts and pools and all of that goes with it. A lot of the work that they were doing on setting up one-to-one rentals and flat fee rentals have kind of been put to the side as we started refocusing on the multiplayer PvE mode and how to get the scholars in without any cost barrier to them so that they can come in and have a crack at using up their energy. Um, so again, you can't let me stick my foot in my mouth. Don't circle dates on a calendar, please. But I would say maybe a week, maybe spend this week wrapping up rental contracts, just making sure that they're tip top and that there's no flaws or issues with them. And then maybe another 1 to 2 weeks at the most, hopefully, knocking on wood, that we don't hit any real bugs for putting in multiplayer PvE, and we can hit go on that mode too. Do you expect people wanting to play to increase? Do you have any? Oh yeah, I suspect that. Yeah, we've held off on starting our social media campaign because, and Atomic will attest to this, timing is everything. You can't light the fire and then let the fire keep going out. So we simply cannot. Oh, I'm sorry if it's cutting in and out. I'm trying to hold my push to talk button down real firm. Um, yeah, you can't keep lighting the fire and then letting it go out. So we're specifically waiting for the devs to get to a certain threshold before we start the media campaign real hard and heavy again. But you can even just look in the last 2 days. There's still a significant amount of people joining the server every day. There's people ready to play. And I think now that people know that no matter what, you're gonna have to go play other players. There's no method in which you're just going to queue in and go fight a boss. You have to play other players. And this game was always designed to be a battle royale. It was a battle royale from day one. So yeah, so I think that there's hundreds of people itching to play, and now that they understand how the mode will work and how the missions will work and things like that. That there will be people on there playing. But you're right. Yeah, we need to increase that player base with a new, a new media campaign to not just to get new people into Discord, but just to get people queuing up on regular basis so that people can get their practice in, and so we can keep getting our server statistics. One thing about server statistics, we have not gathered what we need yet, so we still do need a significant server push. So we're hoping to be able to get some more people in there and doing more testing. It will not have a name like that per se, but it should be called something cooler than PVE or multiplayer PVE. So yeah, for example, the PvP mode where you put up ASG is going to be called ranked. That'd be called ranked PvP. I don't know. I don't know if we have a name particularly for what we will call the multiplayer PvE modes. Um, maybe just multiplayer PvE. I'm not sure actually. So again, regarding that mode, it's the idea is that it's a good emissions decrease for the overall project, but it doesn't affect any individual scholar's chances or abilities to go out and emit off of Ragnarok stars off of the contract. Good players will still be good and they'll have high chances of going out and doing well, and bad players will need to go out and do better and get more practice. Um, So it shouldn't change much in there, but understand that you do have to queue in against others and beat others, and that's going to be normal method. We also have player leveling is something that's going to take a lot more importance. So, for example, player leveling was already something that we had planned to implement into the marketplace. So, for example, like your mounting system would require, a cost plus a level threshold that you have to meet before you can use that mount. Or like if you wanted to get a Viking longship and use it to go to the next port, you would have to, have your cost and have a level threshold. Leveling will be important. You'll gain experience to level from every lobby you enter will gain some experience. Every kill you get, whether against AI or another player, will gain some experience. Loot boxes will also gain you experience, as well as winning a map are going to gain you experiences. I just saw your question, Mac. No, mounts are not rentable. And there will be a number of ways to gain experience. There will also be ways to lose experience. Lack of play will decrease the player's experience. So week after week, if they don't come in playing, logging in and playing, they may have left the game at a level 10, but log back in at a level 7. Um, so that is to increase people's, weekly play and weekly grind to want to keep playing the game. And but as you unlock certain level thresholds, you will be able to do different things in the marketplace as well as different things in the game. I know DB has touched on and talked about in the past, our plan, excuse me, for owning um, plots of land that would then employ NPCs, and the NPCs can be deployed and work for you, and ultimately also earn ASG. That would come with also a level threshold. So leveling your player is going to be important. So even though you might rent a Heimdall today and rent a Freya tomorrow and rent a Thor the day after that and rent an Odin the day after that, your player character is getting leveled up each time, your player account. And as you level up your player account, that unlocks additional things for the game. Is there still going to be a PVE, one player, like let's say Mario level, then boss? No, no, that's going to be multiple people will queue into a map with one to emerge to fight the boss. So it'll be more of a multiplayer PVE experience. Yeah, so it's still the same that it was in the past in people's thinking, in that it just costs energy. There's no upfront barrier to get in and play those modes, to go in and try to get a win and emit. It's just that instead of killing X amount of NPC enemies, then boss. It is, survive the map, then kill boss. So I got to check over here on some messages real quick. Okay, we have our marketplace is just about ready to unveil, and we wanted to unveil it today during this AMA, but looks like we might be off by an hour or so. So maybe by the end of the AMA, um, I will be able to show what we have in store for you guys for the marketplace and how we're kicking that off too. All right, let me go back over and read some of these. If you don't do your sit-ups, you lose your abs. Yeah, same. Yeah, same. If you don't do your sit-ups, you lose your abs. Um, okay. ASG to heal, revive during the PVE. Hmm. That's actually kind of really neat and interesting. Make an idea for that, Mango, or a ticket, and let's talk about some ideas based off that. We do have plans to add in shields similar to Fortnite, so you'd have your shield, then your health bar that can be depleted or um, you know restored, along with the stamina bar. So we do have plans for shields in the game and shield potions, health potions that would be equipped on a sidearm. So maybe instead of carrying 5 sidearms, you might carry 3 sidearms and a shield potion and a health potion slot. So we do have some ideas for heals. We also have some ideas. Um, well, I'm going to hold off on that leak actually. I'm getting too many messages all at once trying to read these. Okay, ASG, if you win the PVE, then do you get extra loot drops or something for beating the boss? For beating the boss, you get your emissions, you get your ASG for the tier of god that you're playing. So if you play a Heimdall, you get that emission, and if you play Odin, you get that emission. That's what you get for beating the boss. Other loot that would be able to be dropped would be on your way to getting to the boss, you had to beat some players, and when you beat those players, they will drop some loot now. Um, they may drop a shield potion or a health potion or something random, or they might not drop anything. Um, but or you might find some loot boxes along the way. You might find a loot box, over near the coast by the ocean, or you might find one up by the top on the volcano or something different. Um, and that's where you would find some extra things. But as far as beating the boss, you would get your ASG emission. I see you too, Atomic. How long would each PVE match last? Um, More or less the same. I think we have them targeted to be like 18 or 20 minutes of storm closing time, and then like 2 or 4 minutes of loitering at the end for like fighting. And then we would have to queue in an extra loiter time to fight the boss. And that would need to actually go through some testing still. So I would say probably about 25-ish minutes roughly. And that's just a guess right now. It could be 22 or 3 or 6 or 1 or I know we have an 18-minute storm right now, and then we have like 2 or 4 minutes of voider time, and then we would need to create another arena time to beat the boss before the storm closes completely on your butt. So I would say it would be a good guess to say 25 minutes approximately. Oh, when I say winning the map, I just mean like being the one who emerges to fight the boss. That's what I mean by that. Sorry. Yeah, we're running out of ideas for God mode. I'll be quite honest with you because some of the ideas of the past just aren't applicable and or aren't cool. Yes, Legendary should get a God mode. We do have plans for God mode. Um, we just don't have any great ideas. To be very very honest with you. So if you want to perk up some cool ideas for God mode, pump them in to the ideas channel. I'll keep an eye out for some stuff that looks really cool. I said that a little earlier, Pika. I don't have an exact date. I would think faster cooldowns would be something. More damage might not be fair, but faster cooldowns might be cool. Um, We don't have an exact date, but I can say that PvP, the initial mode of PvP that we talked about in the last AMA is more or less good to go and ready to go. And so we're going to just add in the wager parts to the website and review the contracts this week, and we should be able to go live with that. And then maybe another week or two, hopefully two at the most, to wrap up the other mode for multiplayer PvP. And those two modes can go on while we work toward running up the survival jackpot mode, which I think will be a really fun, popular mode. Um, and what was the other one? The other one. And then we have to still design that like Tarkov exfil style mode. So that will probably be like something toward the end of the year. I think when they're dead, they'll have a kill cam to watch you go on if they wanted to. Like for like right now, if you queue into the game, I'm answering Deer Zone by the way. If you queue into the game and you die to someone, before you spawn back in to play more, you do get a kill cam to see the guy who killed you, which is intentional because we obviously we have like emotes and stuff we're going to sell, and things are going to be really fun where you can like teabag your dead enemy, or you can do a golf shot off of them or stuff like that. A lot of fun stuff with the emotes. And so having the kill cam was really important for us as far as like that fun toxicity of play. So in the multiplayer PvE, the kill cam will work. When you die to somebody, your kill cam will flip to that person, and then when they die, the camera will flip to the next person that killed them. And you could technically watch it all the way right up until the boss. Like, for example, if you wanted to look at strategies on how to fight the boss, or if you just wanted to see more footage of the boss fight, see what other people may be dying to or losing to. Yeah, you would be able to watch the boss fight in that capacity. Yeah, I do believe so. And if I'm wrong, I think DB can jump in and tell me, but I'm pretty sure that kill camera is the exact same in the PvP mode, and it would just be plug and play. It would just work. Usually, just a nonsense comment. DB or Walshy, if you're listening, do we have anything to show off yet? I know you guys are uploading some stuff to the site.
For the marketplace? Hello?
Yeah,
Mike.
the marketplace. I'm just showing off a quick picture of what we're building, but the marketplace is nearly done. The first items that
I might have so the wall sheets have a more up to date version because I'm like logged into their stuff. But I have a version from a few hours ago before we changed all the pictures. Yeah. Wall she share your screen so they could actually see the 3D viewer and all that.
Dante, what do you mean is Thor finished? Do you mean like did we update his spells yet? No, we still have one
Oh
spell that we want
man,
to swap out for Thor.
you
Right
just
now,
reminded me that I didn't
oh,
increase the
you did.
hammer strength.
Oh, his hammer. Oh, okay,
I
his damage. That's okay. So
holy
yeah,
something.
for today's test, we were gonna blow his damage up through the roof so that he was just incredibly overpowered, but no big deal. No, his right now his hammer is on the sidearm and it's also on spell one. So actually, you can double throw hammers and it's pretty freaking cool. But no, the hammer will be the sidearm, and then spell one will get replaced with a new spell that we're building right now, where he. Well, should I even tell what the spell does? No, we'll just wait. Just let it. I don't want to show it off because it's a really cool spell. So we'll talk about it when it's ready. Um, yeah, Atomic. I see you. Go away. And um, Thor is not technically done. He's very playable, and if you know how to play, you can play Thor. I just played him the other day, and I was shitting on someone. I don't know who it was, but he's very, very playable. But is he as fun as he's gonna be? Probably not. No. So who do we got up here? Walsh, you came up here. What do you
Yep.
got?
I've shared my screen. I don't know if people can see it or not.
Yeah, I can see it.
So this is kind of what we've been messing around with. So when we click on, say, Heimdall in Beachwear, hopefully you come up and you get to see Heimdall. You get to see the actual model of what you would mint. You can mess around with him, go really close into his face, play around, do whatever. So that's his beachwear. And we've got the Aztec stuff. Wait for it to come in. There you go. We've actually got the models in, and then that's what you'll be able to mint. And then we've also got bundles, so you can see them all in one go. We need to sort some of the images out a little bit, but we can go on and have a look at Freya. Odin's my favourite. He's little casual gear.
Yeah, Odin just got back from a Grateful Dead concert, tribute band concert, and he's ready to hang out at the beach for sure.
So yeah, so we're still building it up. We're going to get obviously all of the images and stuff. All of the contracts are created for it, so that's all good.
Yeah, I saw a lot of what the testing that was going on, and it looks really good. So the way that this will work is you have to have the beach skin or armor tech skin for the tier that you have. So if you have a Heimdall, you don't want to buy a Freya beach skin and think it's going to work. These are specific skins to specific tiers. This is different than we have what is called these are our rare skins, and then we have what's called are unique skins. And unique skins would be more like a WASDR promotion where you'll receive your WASDR skin and it would apply to whatever tier you own. So you may own a Thor. You don't need to get a Thor WASDR skin. You just get a WASDR skin and it works on your Thor. So we have unique uh, armor sets that we have that will not be in the marketplace yet, but will eventually be in the marketplace. They will be less in cost and they will be more common. And then we will have our very limited special skins, rare skins, as I call them, that will be higher in cost. They will be limited edition. They will be limited in quantity and or time that they're for sale. And you would have to have the exact tier to match up with the tier of the god that you have. And then, of course, there's a lot of large wallet holders and someone who already owns all four and sitting in the Pantheon, they may just say, I'll take one of each and look, so we'll give you a discount and you buy three and you get the fourth one for free. So each one of these purchases would burn a chunk of ASG with it. That ASG does not go back into circulation. It gets locked into a no wallet forever. And we've talked about, that's one of our primary ASG burns for the ecosystem. So this marketplace should be up tonight. If not, it will be up tomorrow. They're wrapping up their day, and if they don't push it live tonight, we'll push it live in the morning, and we'll ping the server. But it's fun to get these out because as you see, and as you start to play the game and play the beta version that's out right now and things like that, you'll notice that it's okay to go up and see all that legendary armor and to run against legendary Freya and legendary Heimdall and this, that, and everything. But it's also really fun to see different skins on the map, and it starts to get that Fortnite kind of feel, and it kind of gets a little goofy, and to me the fun level kind of goes up a little bit when that happens. Any idea of skin costs in ASG? The cost will be in a USDC. That's our revenue basically, and then the ASG is to lock away. So, like for example, these being 50 and 50, 50 USDC would be to buy the skin, and then we take that other 50 ASG that you put into the transaction, and that gets locked away. We don't sell that back to the LP. So, and then for example, on the beachwear bundle, we just charge the ASG, the 50 ASG, just the one time, not for each skin. So it's still a burn, but it's meant to be a savings too because it's a bundle. And then obviously different skins and not just skins too. There'll be weapons in here. There'll be unique weapons to get in here. There'll be mounts to get in here, and there'll be a section for emotes. And they won't all just be a static 50 ASG. They'll be different, be based on their limitedness. So the very common emotes, skins, weapons, things like that, they will have the lowest cost, and then the most limited things obviously would have the highest cost. So it's 40 after, and And DB is actually pushing a new load up to the launcher right now. We are reducing this patch. We're going to reduce the amount of grenades you carry from 10 down to 3. After you throw your 3, you'll go on a 15-second cooldown before they go to start recharging back up. And that should get rid of the spammy feel of the grenades right now. And then also we took away Heimdall's 2 of his charges on teleport. So Heimdall will teleport 1 time, stunned or unstunned. He can still teleport. But after that teleport, he too has a 15-second recharge before his teleport comes back. So you can go, re-engage him very quickly and, and get that kill. So was there? Oh, and then we also worked on repositioning the spawn-in point. So when you get to the end of the map, you can get a few more spawn-ins before you are kind of like kicked out forever. And those were basically the things we did for this patch. We feel it's going to make for a little bit more fun, equal, balanced play. And we'd love for everybody to stick around. Go, download the launcher and get the launcher ready, because in the next probably 15 or 20 minutes, the launcher should update. Maybe even sooner than that. I'm not sure. The launcher should update to the new build. And I'd love for everybody to get on the build at 6 o'clock. That's in 15 more minutes. If the build is up, I'd like to host a Discord server event.